Hello and welcome. It is the 26th day of May and the year is 2019. My name is Derek. All bets trades of the like. Well, that is within each his own risk and their own reward. And this is a trading video, just going to go through different ideas. And an idea I was thinking more, I did a little bit of small testing on it. It looks really fun to do. And that is basically shorting the market against something you want to be bullish on, I suppose, to a degree. But I'll explain that very soon. But it's kind of what I'm doing here in a way. I'm refusing to buy any theta fuel other than buybacks. My next buyback is at 455. I just recently bought at like 510 ish area, 517 I think it might have been, and I put my next sell order up for 624. So whatever happens next, I'll go through the trade. I have three buy orders, two below this because I had four sell orders that happened on the way up. I've had one buy order fill, and I'm looking for three more. And what I'm doing here, okay, I sell 1,000 maybe. Let's buy 1,000 back. Oh, I sell 1,000 or 1,200. Let's buy 1,200 back. And what happens is the amount of BNB that I sell it for is less than what it would be to buy back. So I want to get as many of these as possible. So that got me thinking. Just maybe consider getting into some Tron. I've barely bought. I've got some. And where I'm holding it would be on an atomic wallet, I think they call it. I got $68.62 in there, or around 2,200. And the cost of a draw, zero point 0.1 of these, it's a 3 cent coin. So three withdrawals for a penny. Fast to send, doesn't take too long. I didn't test the time. I sent it some back, and then it was like 15 or even 12 minutes. I'm like, oh, let's just check. Yep, they're available. Okay, that's fine. And to take it off of Binance, it's also cheap as well. So with basic math, for me, basic anyway, and just looking at how market conditions move, the idea would be to start a sell block at every 2.15% of a price move. Sell 2% of the remaining holdings. So you calculate what a buy or what a sell order would be, and then you multiply that number by 1.0215 or something in that area. And you can adjust volatility accordingly. You can do 1.5% move and maybe sell 1.3 or even 1.6, 1.7. Play around with it as you wish. Maybe you want to go bigger volatility, wait for like 6% moves and sell 4.5%. And I got buyback minimum 10%. That can change for yourself as well. Maybe you want 5% or 15 or 20. But in doing so, well, I'll just finish off this and then I'll go to the chart ideas for what happened that can just be a big staller. And you just let the stall happen. But anyway, so you buy back minimum 10% from sale and adjust accordingly based on current buy orders being large or market conditions. Meaning, if say for example you've over a period of time you've had 34 sell order fills and say 18 buybacks, well you'd have 16 buybacks to go. So you can play around with those, lower some of them, and things like that. And market conditions, maybe I'm looking to buy back at a certain price, but I realize, oh my goodness, it could easily go another 4 or 5% lower. Well, then play that and get the extra gain that way. So that would be on that. And then never buy more unless it's a buyback. So therefore, like again, the market goes down and down, and you're like, okay, I want to add more to it. We're not going to do that. It's like a tool to short the market, if anything. But in doing so, you're looking to get gains, of course. So never buy. Say if your last buyback executes at 3,000 basis points, and it drops down further to 2,500. There's nothing wrong with putting a sell order at 27.25 and at this time keeping the game rolling. And even talking further, maybe it goes up to 26 and then it goes down to 22.50. Okay, let's put a seller at 24.50, 25, because you know it's going to have to rally at some point. And even still, if you want to talk about market conditions, maybe you see a situation where, and this is a gamble, of course, but you want to short it. You put sell a little bit and then put a buy order back. If you're wrong, then you'll have to wait maybe months, maybe, or if never even, to get it back. But so be it. As far as the way market conditions could move, this could be a situation where you just go a long time and you can't do anything. As maybe you're selling it all over the place here. and you might have like 30 buy orders in queue. But there's gonna if this is every 2% of a gap, we'll say, and I know this is an even length, but if you have a 2% gap or little over 2% gap here, and you have like an 11 or 12% decline to your low, then maybe your buy order is here or here, and you miss it. And then, of course, you're not going to have any sell orders unless it's above this high now. So you're going to go through maybe 4 days, depending on your volatility, maybe even 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and not be making any trades whatsoever because it's either going to have a break. Now, in a situation, say, where I get one buyback in here, and then maybe I'll put a sell order even really low because I'm looking at something like on a negative basis, something I would want to short. And of course, you want to do this on a base currency that you like or you think you'd want to go up. So for me, okay, let's try to make BNB without even buying any really. Because what I'm going to do again is sell for maybe I'll sell for 1.2 BNB and then I'll put a buy order back and it might be for 0 point or 1.05 or something in that nature, 1.07. So if I'm selling for 1.2, buying back for say 107, then that's a 0.13. And then I do this 10, 20, 50, 80, 60, 100 times. And I was doing this with Tron, and this wasn't too long overall. This was many months, a few months, not just, if not several weeks, more than anything. And this is the, why did it do that? Try to move it like this. This number on the left-hand side, 2284, was the number that I would sell at. And it told me that the buyback was 2055.6, which I always rounded down every single time. And how it worked out was a gain of like 2% and then a 90% reduction. So if you can see in here, it says equal A1 multiply 0.9. And therefore, with the bold, those represents one that got bought back. So 23.29 sale, 20.96 cover. If you think of it like a short sale, short at 23.76, cover at 21.38. These ones are still waiting, and they will. They would eventually. All of these are going to fill eventually. So you're going to have that situation that I mentioned before, where you're going to have to just, okay, I'm not going to buy more. I'll just wait for the next runs. I got bored of it after a while, so I stopped doing it. I'd probably best to do it on a calculated spreadsheet, and I would like to have hourly data and such, but whatever. Uh, so in here we have out completion here, 3 that never got bought back after this breakout. So selling at 2300, I bought back at 2071. Then I was looking to sell at 2179. Then I did at 22, 23, 20, and 2359, 2406, 2454, and then it kept going higher all the way to 2656. And the price would have obviously came down to in between 2123 and 2165. So from the 2165 buy, my next sell order was at 2369. It never got bought back, and these ones did. And if we just scroll down, we got some other ones. I'd have like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we got 4 more for 12, 15, 16, and then we have a whole bunch even here. And then a whole bunch even here at 70, row 73. And the amount of trades that was coming up was just dynamic. As it worked out to be at the time frame here where 153, and again every single one of those unbolded ones in time would have went down, because if we look at the market, this is when the last trade would have been like well, these all got bought back, so it would have been the last whatever decline from the 3500 sale. Let's take a look at this market. And what we were looking at is all the trades from the October of 2018 all the way to like February of 2019. Like 4 months, 5 months, not much. And there was a lot of trades. And what would be going on here is a lot of buybacks. All those unbolded ones would have been getting bought back, and then would have got to the point, as I mentioned in that slide, where, oh, I don't got any buybacks left. Okay, then just wait. And maybe your last buyback might have been, so we'll say in this case, let's assume your last buyback was 1832. Okay, not going to buy in here. Your sell orders aren't hitting. Let's assume this one misses. And then you adjust your this market goes down. So maybe you had a sell order before at 1650. You're like, nah, and then it would have been nicer, but maybe reduce it to 1580 or something, 1550, and then that one hits. And then if you were doing say 2%, it would have went up to 1740. So you're selling how many times from 1550 all the way to 1740? So you can get creative with your orders. You can make some of them for 10% down, some of them for 15% down, another one for 10, another one for 15, another one for 20, and then really spread it out because again, we're playing this in a bear market setting this way. And if it gets to a situation where Tron gets out of control and just does amazing, then look at it as you play the stock of whatever and you're just getting your gains and profit taken within and you're just going to grind your way to get your gains that way. You'll have a lot of orders filling at any time. You could just say, okay, I got a lot of, we'll say in this case, Binance coin. What do I want to do with all of this free money, really? Because some of it was from profit trade, and you figure, okay, I start off with this X amount worth of this coin, and you can just make fantastic profits one way or another. Binance coin does really well. You're basically most likely going to have this in a downtrend, and you're going to be gaining coins frequently here and there, which is nice to have happen. And the other coin does really good. So if Binance coin can hold in there, go up a bit, go down even a bit, you're getting free money. And well, basically that's how you're getting your profit within the types of trades. So I'm probably going to get more Tron. I just got a little bit now, but I'm going to do wait maybe later today, even into tomorrow, or into the week. I'm going to look into accumulating this. But I have got some, and I got sell orders ready to go. So 15-minute term time frame. I'll be waiting to sell. I don't got any lines in here yet, but they haven't hit yet, so obviously it's got to get above this high. I want to next talk about DGB, and this was another trade that I made about an hour or so ago. As I picked some up, and it was around this 176 price in which that I accumulated. As Litecoin was going up and this was going down, so I completed a move, and within it we've had this hit, another hit here. But after you go from this point A low, this is why I like it when it takes a few periods like this, because the 18 average of lows is now starting to rise. We're going to complete this day at 164. It's going to go up. So we're probably looking at around 166 for the 18 lows, but that would also be a higher low to this move. And if you want to keep, I've seen many times before where it has like 3, 4, 5, 6, however many higher lows, and it has the ascending triangle. That's one of the formations that's in play. But you also got to realize too that this down move is in case of Bitcoin going up. And if we take a look at DGB against the US dollar, it's going to have a much, much, much different story. It's now 1.53 cents. And on its daily term time frame, it's has an outside day where it's low. I know it's calculated by TradingView, so I don't want to put too much in this high or low. So with that being said, let's see if I can. Well, before that, I'll take a look at that at the end. But let's take a look at this. Here, this thing to me is poised, ready to go. I got a line here at 2077. That would be most likely a line I drew in as far as a Fibonacci level, and still has a good setup for that in play. So yes, maybe on that it's looking like it's falling from this ascending triangle, but this one it's had a small break above it and it's hanging in there. But let's take a look if we can see this traded somewhere like a, well, I guess if it's traded against like on Bittrex, it's just a retest of the high on this one. Okay, let's move on. And we'll look next at the Bitcoin market cap BTC dominance calculated by TradingView, which is at a level of 60.1, probably a couple percentage basis points lower, but that's not really what's important. What's important is that it's around that number. I mean, but it's ballpark fine enough. But as far as what does this chart mean? Well, we've had this gain indicating that the Bitcoin is overperforming that of the altcoins as far as the movements. Because if Bitcoin's going to go up like say 7%, and then Ethereum goes up 9, Litecoin goes up 15, EOS goes up 12, Say Ripple has a huge day up 42%, and Bitcoin Cash is up 20, and all the other ones are just having better days, we'd be having a big red candle down move. No, it's happened in the past. A lot of times, okay, how is this going to play out in the sense of? Because one of the things I was even thinking earlier, and let me just take a look at this maybe on a 5 minute time frame, um, was that yes, makes a lot of sense with this down move here. That Bitcoin had its big move. It was going sideways short term, even a little decline on the 1 minute, 5 minute chart and such. And Litecoin was just overperforming Bitcoin big time, which I'll bring that chart up next. And in such, I was like, okay, so did someone just buy Bitcoin? And then a good portion or a decent portion of those people that bought it are like, okay, now let's buy Litecoin with it. And that's what a lot of people probably do when they get into whatever type of cryptos like that. Okay, they first buy Bitcoin because that's how it's bought and that's how it's easy, that's how it's done for them. And then they move it over to, say, Binance or wherever, they go ahead, or wherever else, and they go ahead, they buy the Litecoin. Or and if they're a big time player, maybe they do it in several different maneuvers. I don't know. But I have seen situations where Bitcoin has its first move, and then shortly after that, the alts just tear up really nicely. And during the prime of 2017, it did work out in so many different facets. As let's just see if I can see so here on the weekly, maybe I can get a better understanding on the, or remembrance rather, for that matter. As we can see in here with the moves, it was relatively volatile, but what this meant was this kept on going down up until June of 2017 after it was just doing this. And what was going on was Bitcoin was moving from like 10,000, 11,000, and during this run it was making it to like 3,000. So it was tripling its value, but the altcoins were doing better than that as they were all going up. So there were days when everything went up, like Bitcoin was up 5% or 4%, and the other coins were up like 20 or 6 or 15, or this one was only 1. Maybe this one was down 15% because it doubled the day before. There were so many wild things that were going on. And then we had this run, which is from June 19th to October 30th. And in that situation, and really for that matter, let's even go to December 4th. Bitcoin was just tearing to the upside, where the altcoins were generally going sideways, maybe a little bit down, but they were from the gains against the dollar that they had from this move. And this was their correction of that, mainly sideways against the dollar, at least for a lot of them. And then this big red down move indicated that we had all the altcoins having huge, huge moves, all the way from December the 4th, that right around, well, Litecoin started, I think, December the 5th. And then 3, 4 days later, some coins got going December 9th, some got going on the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, but right around them, they were all pretty much going at that point. And there was a select very few that got going like December 2nd, 1st, or whatever, but a lot of these coins were suffering decent sized down moves against the dollar, while Bitcoin was hanging in there, going higher, which proceeded for this market to go up, of course, to this level. And ever since there was, what was this? Was this the April Fool's rally of 2018? Well, the market goes down from February to March. So Bitcoin was going up, going sideways, as it did go down like January to like say 12, 13,000, then rebound back up to like a little bit higher price, but mainly altcoins going down here. The move in here is what I call the April Fool's rally. That's where all the altcoins had their plays. And then from April to about like September, October-ish or so, uh, this is where this was going up because Bitcoin was going sideways in that very boring descending triangle with a low of 6,000 and the highs like going 8,000. Like it was just trading between 6,000 and like 7,500 forever. And then Bitcoin went down in this bear market from like here all the way to here. The sideways range was Bitcoin falling from like 6,300 or 6,000 even, all the way down to 3,000. Other coins were going down in the same sort of motion as them, but they already had big moves before because a lot of coins like Litecoin and other ones broke key support lines well before Bitcoin did. And then, of course, we've had this little bit of a rally breaking through because Bitcoin going higher. So, I mean, this could play many ways. Maybe Bitcoin goes to 20,000 and fast, and then this goes way up. Maybe it even, oh, I don't know how high, but it just goes way up. And then next thing you know, all the alts go sideways and down, and then next thing you know, Bitcoin goes down, like maybe just hangs in there. Maybe even goes to like 12 or 14,000. And then the altcoins just start to rise, and Bitcoin just stays in like a range between like say 14 or 8 and 18,000. And then all the altcoins just have days, and then this just goes way, 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 way down. I'm expecting this to be continuously choppy, a lot of moves up and back down, and keep going as we move forward. Or another way of putting it, have decent moves both above and below the 18. Big move below, good move above, a big move below, not a great move above, not a great move below, but it's still a move. Good move below, time correction, and so far a decent move above. And now let's move on to Bitcoin because I am talking about trading ideas. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, and I really, really don't want to um, bet against Bitcoin. However, the way I look at it is I could lock prices in if I'm wrong. And there's a few things I wouldn't mind buying at around 10,000 Bitcoin as it is. So that's what I'm looking to do here is sell Bitcoin at around 10,000. Okay, first level. Okay, this level of resistance of Fibonacci really was so, and it built like an ascending-ish kind of triangle, really nice pattern. And when it got above it, nice move. No resistance here. A little bit of correction here above it, but it did have a little bit of correction within it. No resistance here. And on the weekly term time frame, I guess with 54 minutes to go, I thought all week it was going to be a pause week, and it's either going to be a decent continuation week with a nice little line below, and I mean, if it goes up like 500-600 points within the top of the hour, the next 54 minutes, then a major good continuation. But three in a row, are we gonna have no resistance? 3 points, maybe. And I'd be pretty happy if it doesn't to a degree. As I'd be really, I'd no, it'd be. But anyway, sell here and then wait for whatever pullback prices I can get. I really, really would think that situations like this, if we don't get resistance here, it's almost like what type of term? Like wowzers, great bazinga or whatever. I think I don't watch third or there's a there's a quote that one of the genius kids uses in Big Bang Theory. I've only ever watched one episode. It was the Bitcoin episode a couple years back. But yeah, I mean, not finding resistance here. The possibilities are massive. Let's take a look at this on the Bitstamp exchange. And as it plays through in here, this level of support was a decent amount of time. So a lot of people had time to think about, okay, 3,000 to $4,000 Bitcoin. What are you going to do now? Are we got people talking about going to 1,000? How many people are talking about going to 1,000 nowadays? I'm just curious about that. I mean, technically, if this is resistance here, maybe it will. And as I stated, this was a descending triangle that it had. And this was that long period of time. It was 5 months in which the price action um, stayed like 7,000 ish and down to 6 for an extended period of time. And I was waiting, like, I was even talking about going to like 3,000 for so long. And then what does it bottom here at? 3,122. And it was higher than that. I figured Pierce Extra. But the Fibonacci numbers were like 3,080 ish, but it's still a hit, Pierce above, either way. Okay, so now you have this move, but we didn't resist where the first level was supposed to. We can see that this line and where the green candle met up with it was a little above where the 18 average of lows was. And that's what you do in bear markets is you spend time below the 18 average of lows and some in little time within the band from the lows to the highs. And in a bear market, you don't have this and then this big green candle after it. That's just not what happens. And it's amazing just to even not resist here, and even to get to the 18 average of highs, that can be difficult. But coming back to where you came from, that's bullishly or bearishly that was supposed to happen. On a bearish level, it probably would have resisted somewhere there, and maybe it might have came up to like 6,700, which would have coincided with the 18 average of, or 7,000, whatever, which would have coincided with the 18 average of highs, coincided with this major congestion area in which it had, and it has gotten back to within this large congestion point. And 10,000 is a big, big Fibonacci level of resistance. So this is the congestion area when it comes down to it. And we've had one full month in this. We are at the 26th of May, so it's almost at a time of completion for, of course, the month. But we're not resisting this. You really have to be like, okay, well, it's like, okay, well, there are bells ringing. Uh, in a bear market, it's supposed to go down, and in this area, come down, and then the 18 average starts to decline, and then maybe you start to show weakness amongst the 18 in here. Have a little test of this. Maybe if you came from the 18 average of highs, it might meet up with the lows again somewhere here, and then down it goes, and then the 18 would just follow suit, and then maybe this time here it comes up to it, whatever's going to happen there. And that's what would happen in a bear market when you have, from the reversal of trend, stage one, band flattening out, stage two, establish a level of support, stage three, come back to the band, but it wasn't even able to attempt that of any kind of stage four. And if it is, it's going to be on a failed breakout now that it's had this much of a room and this much of a play above the 18 average of highs. So I am going to be really serious the fact when back in here, I didn't say that I think the bottom was in. I was thinking the bottom was near, meaning maybe there's another leg lower and then it's going to go higher from there. And it looks again like that is the case. What's definitely going to be important is Fibonacci from the 3,122 low to whatever this high happens to be currently. That's in at about 8,800. But current price is 87.28, which tells me short term this thing is starting to do really, really nice things. 5 minute time frame. What kind of technical analysis do we see with stuff like this? This is a powerful, powerful move within the market. This tremendous gain starting at 1500 hours or 3 p.m., topping at 1600 hours, so the entire 3 o'clock hour this thing is going. And I put a video out at some point in whatever here when it was going up. That, okay, this thing is going up pretty good. Now, since then, again, we've had this sideways range. A lot of resistance has been established short term at this point here 87, 84, 87. Basically, the high 87s. What's this exact? Yeah, 88. Yeah, so the high 87s. So 87.50 and higher, we'll call it. And it's at 87.30 now, which is close. We can see it's just even this tick here doing a little bit of a breakout right now. But after this move in here, we had one period where it held and stayed above it. These are the things you got to say, okay, this now increases the chances to me that we may be having this kind of move. Because big, big, big move here. First round of decent sized profit taking. And then after that, buyers coming back. No one looking to really sell for much profit in here. Goes up again, and well, another round of sellers come in, but compared to this one, it was nothing really at all. And since then, the buyers are back in business. And as I mentioned just a little while ago, that this little move is a nice pause move to this. And with 1 minute and 3 seconds to play, another one, this one in here, is looking to do so again. So this move, which I've been talking about for quite some time, for price action to get to let's auto this because of, yeah, for price action to get to that 10,000 level seems to be very, very live. It could happen in a couple of hours, a couple of days. And who knows if it's going to establish some resistance at 92.20 for a week. I don't think so. I would be very surprised actually I know it's not drawn on here, but I'd be very surprised if at least if it's 90, anything like 98 high or better. If I don't see a break above that number, I would be very, very surprised. But when looking at this, obviously it's a tremendous bull market via the weekly term time frame. I don't Buyers in complete control. It's gotten above the 18 in here. And the setup that it gave, that's why I like just having the 18 average as it is because it can show you strength patterns, not all the time, but back before this rally even started, you had that situation where you have this move, it comes back down, and then it grinds its way up little by little, the ascending triangle formation. And as I was saying back in here from basically February into March, a whole month of February. Okay, if this is supposed to be bearish, why are we having this little grind? I mean, this doesn't make sense for a bear market. That's the things I was mentioning. And of course, it wasn't a bear market move, it was a bullish move. And there was that break above resistance. For me, if I could put it on, this is like what's more better play. Buying when you see the strength here, buying when you have a break above, I don't know. But the strength was showing that the move was real. And since then, buyers keep remaining. You can say, oh, the price is oversold, or if it's going down or overbought or whatever, it's got to go down. Well, the market's going to do what the market is going to do, and it's obviously going to be based on the free market of people buying and selling. And as long as there's more people that are demanding to buy Bitcoin at these prices that are offered versus those that are looking to sell, well, then the price will only continue to go higher. And the free market will say if it keeps doing this, there will have to be a time where people are like, oh my goodness, I just gotta sell, or it's way too expensive, I can't buy. And of course, the market will react to that point because it's going to have a correction to the 18 at some point. If it's in a bear market, or excuse me, bull market rather, then what you want to see happen is if it's a down move, go down to it, even have a pierce below for one little bit, that's fine. And then, of course, regain it and spend about like from point A low down in here to wherever the big point B high happens to be. An ideal situation is having two or three times where it has to go, even four times, where it has to go into the 18 and then it's going to make a new high and so on and so forth. But again, the higher you go, the bigger the correction that can be. The 18 average of highs right now is tremendously way. It's above it by far, 5,857. It will rise tremendously. It went from 54 to 58, so we're going to be probably around 63 or 64, 62, 63, 64, some much higher number moving into the next week. But even at that, that would require a price correction of over 25%. Not saying it's going to happen. I think the best chance of when it's going to come into place. And again, this is where your own risk and your own reward comes into play. Me, I got sell orders all the way from about here at like 9,800 all the way up to about 11,000 and change, ready to go. And if they hit, I'll be looking to get them back at cheaper prices. And then if they don't hit, and this area, it doesn't find resistance, it just keeps going, well, and then I guess I can just purchase something with it at that point. All right, thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.